Hello friends. Today is Friday, May 16th. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. I think this is my third or fourth time coming out to check on the bees. So I just got here. I'm coming out, looking at my little hives here. Seems to be some already good morning activity from the girlies. So today I am going to be doing 2 full hive bee inspections. So I'm going to look through the bottom at both brood boxes, bottom and top. I'm going to be adding, I'm going to be adding my honey supers. So I've got my red hive honey super and my blue hive honey super, and I have my 2 queen excluders. I have these plastic ones, but I think that going forward I might buy the metal ones. I actually have 2 other ones in like my little storage shed at my dad's house that I didn't use because they were pretty full of wax, and it's really hard to get the wax off of these, but I was going to take them home today, the other ones, and take a little heat gun to them and see if I can get some of it off. But the metal ones where I usually buy my bee equipment from, and I think that I might do that going forward because it would be way easier to use a heat gun on a metal grate and even scrape off of a metal grate than opposed to a plastic one. But I think that it's all, what do you want to pay and all that stuff. But I'll see how the heat gun works for the 2 that I'm going to take home today, because it would take me forever with like a tool hive or something to try to pick all the wax out. So I'll see if a heat gun, if I put like some paper towels down, use a heat gun, get it off, and then I can use those, like reuse those. So I have 4 of them total. These ones look pretty good. So looking at my frames from last year and the year before, so you can see the comb is already drawn out on these. So I did add on my top boxes, my second brood boxes, last time I was here, and I may be getting ahead of myself adding on the supers, but I think that I want to give it 2 weeks to come back and check on them, kind of leave them alone for a little bit, let them do their thing. Because I don't want to be in here bugging them too much and having them feel like they don't want to be here because I'm always in their face. So I was going to put the supers on and see how it goes. It's been great weather here. Everything is out. I haven't fed them. I don't think I'm going to feed them. Maybe I'll feed them later this summer when we hit the dearth period. But yeah, I was just going to give it, put the supers on today, do 2 full hive inspections, see where we're at, and then come back in 2 weeks and check on things then. And I don't want to leave them too long without putting the supers on top, because I don't want them, like a huge flow of honey come in and they don't have anywhere to put it, and then they feel like the queen needs to leave to find a bigger space. So having a beehive, it's all just like about management. You're like a landlord. You need to manage the size of the occupants in your building, so to speak. So, if they get too big, you want to add more on top. And I don't want them to get too big and not have anywhere to go besides vacate. And I don't want them to vacate. I want them to stay forever. And then that will also give me time to put up all my videos online, because I haven't put any online yet. So this is all preemptive. So yeah, I'm going to get suited up. I've got my bucket of tools and my smoker, because last time we learned, even if you think you're just going to go in and get out, bring your tools, bring your smoker, bring everything that you're going to do. It's never going to just be a quick in and out. So yeah, see you up there. Okay, so I'm going to start with my red hive today. I've got my smoker going. I'm going to start with the closest frame to me, work my way that way, and then do the same thing to the bottom. So like I said, I put the top brood box on last week, so I can already see they have some honey and pollen in here on the farthest frame, which is good. It means they're making progress. I'm gonna take my one frame, set it here gently. There's not too many bees on that one. What I basically want to see is that there's some brood up here, and maybe the queen was brought up to the top too, because when I put my second brood box on last week, I took 2 frames from the bottom and put them on top to help draw them up. So I just want to make sure that that is working. See a lot of honey and pollen on this frame. So I usually take 3 frames out, set them to the side, and then I'll just keep the rest of them in. I'll just shuffle them this way. So it seems like there's a little bit more concentration of bees in the middle, which is good to see that they did come up with those 2 frames. This frame wasn't really drawn out that well, so they probably have to do a little bit of work to draw this frame out a little bit more, to put some brood and honey stores in. Let's see here. Oh, lots of brood on this frame, which is great. So I'll be looking for the queen, always scanning for the queen. Got a little bit of overall, the top brood box looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and slide all of these frames back into place, lift up the top brood box, set it down gently, and then inspect the second hive. Give them a little smoke. I've got a little bit of comb buildup here, so I'll clean that off. Try to get as many of them down as possible, so when I start scraping, I don't get any of the bees. Alright, now let's see what we got. This one's pretty empty. I might swap it for a more interior frame. This one's pretty full of honey. Might put that one on the end. Oh, I got some brood on this frame, some capped honey. Trying to see if I can see any eggs any egg laying, so then I know that the queen has been there in the last few days. Got some brood on this frame. Some brood on this frame. Looking for my queen bee. Cells on the bottom of your frame, and if they're capped, you know they're probably going to swarm soon if they're at the bottom of the frame, but if they're open, they're just kind of like a placeholder. But I think it's the beekeeper's preference. Sometimes I just like snip them off with my fingers or my tool hive, my hive tool, to get rid of them. Lots of brood on this frame, which is excellent. A little bit of drone brood on top, and you can tell the drone brood because it is a little bit more raised from the surface than the regular worker bee when it's capped. Looking for my queen, looking for my queen. I have some larvae in here, which is excellent. That means she's been here in the last few days. She's laying a lot. The last 2-3 frames have been just full of brood, which is excellent. This one has a lot of pollen. This one's getting filled up. Let's see about this last frame. Let's see what we got here. We're still filling this one up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these two. So this one gets a little bit more attention. I'm going to pull these out one more time to do one last scan because I didn't find my queen, and I'd really like to see her today. See her. She's right here on this frame. She's going in, trying to see if I can see any eggs. So I'm going to put her in very gently, and I will close up shop. So like I said, I'm going to put some of these frames that are a little bit more full of either brood or honey on the exterior and move some of these empty frames that aren't filled with much honey or brood on the inside a little bit closer, so bees will fill them out. Okay, so I'll give them a little smoke to get them down in there before I put my second brood box on top. Square on there. Now I'm going to put my queen excluder on top. So this prevents these screens, only allow for the worker bees to get up into the honey super. So the queen can't go up and start laying brood in your honey super because you don't want any brood up there, you just want honey. So I'm going to go ahead, put my queen excluder on, put my super on. Get all my frames in place. And because I saw there was like 4 frames that were quite full of brood, they're gonna start kicking off here, so I feel a little bit more confident putting on this super. And then I'm gonna put my blocks back up and then move on to the blue hive. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go into the second hive, the blue hive, and I gotta say, compared to the first bees that I had, these bees are way more docile. I'm not even really smoking them as much as I had in the past with my other beehives that I got just from like a commercial. They came up from the south from a commercial beekeeper. So these bees seem quite content, quite happy. Don't really want to get, you know, in my face. And we'll see how this hive is doing. I usually have a little bucket that I need to bring out that I should have brought with me today, that I keep all my extra wax in, so I can kind of use it when I start doing any candle making. I can just add it in. Good morning. Good morning. Just to not waste any wax, because it takes a lot of energy to make the wax, so it's kind of a shame to waste any of it when you can make it into a candle. Scrape some of that off. Give them a little bit of a smoke. A little bit of honey on that frame. I think that we'll do the same thing as I did over there. Move some of these outer frames in towards the center so they get a little bit more attention from the hive. This one's got a little bit more honey and pollen in there. Got a lot of capped honey on this frame, about a quarter of it, I would say. Lots amount of pollen here. Oh, I have some larvae up here, so I know my queen has been up here in the last few days, which is excellent. So the method works, moving the few frames from the bottom up, because it's been more than a week since I moved them up here. So she definitely has been up here in the last few days. So now I gotta make sure I keep an eye out for my girl, my queen bee, my queen blue bee. Ooh, this is nicely capped with all brood. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I see some more larvae in here. Scanning. I see some drones coming out right now. See some more larvae over here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Keeping an eye out for my queen bee. I'm so happy she was up here laying. That means she's doing well. just taking some extra time to look for her, to make sure I know where she's at. All right. I'm gonna scrape some of this wax off. This one has a little bit of pollen and a touch of honey in there. Same thing here. Not much. Let's see. Last frame. Same thing here, just a lot of pollen I see. Ooh, this is full of brood. They have this huge comb at the bottom that is full of larvae, unfortunately. I'm gonna actually, oh, there's my queen. So I hate to do this, but I really can't have there she is. Great. I'm just gonna slightly look at these ones really quickly to make sure that there's a lot of brood. That frame was pretty much full of brood. This one, same thing. She's got a bunch of comb on the bottom here growing. You can see that, and I'm gonna take it off. It's full of larvae, unfortunately, but she's gotta start laying elsewhere. They can't make this, so you don't want them to continue to grow that out because then it will just become a little unmanageable. All right, this one has a bunch of brood on it, front and back. And, ooh, this one's quite heavy, full of pollen and honey. So I'm gonna move that one this way. Probably a little mad at me that I pulled those combs off the bottom of those frames with the larvae in there, but just can't have it going on that way. So we'll go ahead. Go ahead and just kind of give myself a little bit of a smoke to start to deter them from getting away from me. Now I'm gonna leave. So success. I saw both queens, lots of brood in both hives. I saw larvae on the second brood box on my blue hive. So that was really good because I know she's been up laying. I'll have to look into why, bees are making comb wherever there's space. So I do have like a kind of a box on the bottom that I might take out. It's basically like it has like slats in it. And I bought it when I first got my hives. It's supposed to, I guess, deter swarming or help reduce it. So I think that they're kind of getting down in between those slats and trying to fill it in with comb. I didn't have that happen the last 2 years with either of my hives. So it might just be like a one-off. It wasn't happening in the red hive. It was only happening in the blue hive. So unfortunately I had to like rip all that off. It was full of larvae, very sad, but I can't have it growing just everywhere within the hive. It has to stay on the frame. So kind of training them to keep everything on the frames as best as possible is probably best practice. So overall, yeah, did 2 full hive inspections. They look great. I added on my queen excluders on top of those, put on my honey supers, put the lids back on, and I will be back in 2 weeks. Again, I did not feed my bees. I'm not going to. They have, it seems like, a lot of pollen and honey in there. Again, everything is like blooming around here. It's gorgeous. I also wanted to just speak briefly. I know that a lot of people say, hey, you got to make sure that your bees have honey. I do have a little like brook that runs behind my honey hive over here, and as well as the neighbors across the street have a huge pond in their backyard. So I don't keep any water close by because they go 3 miles in any direction from the hive to get pollen, food, water. So I don't have anything out here to water my bees. It's just one less thing that I have to do. So I'm grateful for the natural water that we have in the area, so I don't have to do that. But yeah, overall success. I'll be back in 2 weeks to check on progress. Hopefully we have some bees up in the supers getting some honey going for us to enjoy this year.